Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Volume 8, Book 76, number 498. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet, narrating about his Lord Iman, said, Allah ordered the appointed angels over you, that the good and the bad deeds be written, and he then showed the way, how to write. If somebody intends to do a good deed and he does not do it, then Allah will write for him a full good deed, in his account with him. And if he intends to do a good deed and actually did it, then Allah will write for him, in his account, with him. Its reward equal, from 10 to 700 times to many more times. And if somebody intended to do a bad deed and he does not do it, then Allah will write a full good deed, in his account, with him. And if he intended to do it, a bad deed, and actually did it, then Allah will write one bad deed, in his account. Volume 8, Book 76, number 499. Narrated by Ghailan. Anas said, You people do bad deeds, commit sins, which seem in your eyes as tiny, minute, than hair, while we used to consider those very deeds, during the lifetime of the Prophet, as destructive sins. Volume 8, Book 76, number 500. Narrated by Sa'd bin Sal as-Sa'idi. The Prophet looked at a man fighting against the pagans, and he was one of the most competent persons fighting on behalf of the Muslims. The Prophet said, Let him who wants to look at a man from the dwellers of the hell fire, look at this man. Another man followed him and kept on following him till he, the fighter, was injured, and seeking to die quickly, he placed the blade tip of his sword between his breasts and leaned over it till it passed through his shoulders, i.e., committed suicide. The Prophet added, A person may do deeds that seem to the people as the deeds of the people of paradise, while in fact, he is from the dwellers of the hell fire. And similarly, a person may do deeds that seem to the people as the deeds of the people of the hell fire, while in fact, he is from the dwellers of paradise. Verily, the results of deeds done depend upon the last actions. Volume 8, Book 76, number 501. Narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. A Bedouin came to the Prophet and said, O Allah's Apostle, who is the best of mankind? The Prophet said, A man who strives for Allah's cause with his life and property, and also a man who lives, all alone, in a mountain path among the mountain paths to worship his Lord and save the people from his evil. Volume 8, Book 76, number 502. Narrated by Abu Sa'(id). I heard from the Prophet saying, There will come a time upon the people when the best property of a Muslim will be sheep, which he will take to the tops of mountains and to the places of rainfall, run away with his religion, in order to save it from afflictions. Volume 8, Book 76, number 503. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's Apostle said, When honesty is lost, then wait for the hour. It was asked, How will honesty be lost, O Allah's Apostle? He said, When authority is given to those who do not deserve it, then wait for the hour. Volume 8, Book 76, number 504. Narrated by Hadith. Allah's Apostle narrated to us two narrations, one of which I have seen happening, and I am waiting for the other." He narrated that honesty was preserved in the roots of the hearts of men, in the beginning, and then they learnt it, honesty, from the Quran, and then they learnt it from the prophets, Sunnah, tradition. He also told us about its disappearance, saying, "A man will go to sleep, whereupon honesty will be taken away from his heart, and only its trace will remain, resembling the traces of fire. He then will sleep, whereupon the remainder of the honesty will also be taken away from his heart, and its trace will resemble a blister which is raised over the surface of skin, when an ember touches one's foot, and in fact, this blister does not contain anything. So there will come a day when people will deal in business with each other, but there will hardly be any trustworthy persons among them. Then it will be said that in such and such a tribe there is such and such person who is honest, and a man will be admired for his intelligence, good manners and strength, though indeed he will not have belief equal to a mustard seed in his heart." The narrator added, "There came upon me a time when I did not mind dealing with any one of you, for if he was a Muslim, his religion would prevent him from cheating, and if he was a Christian, his Muslim ruler would prevent him from cheating. But today I cannot deal except with so and so and so and so." See Hadith number 208, Volume 9. Volume 8, Book 76, number 505. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. I heard Allah's Apostle saying, "People are just like camels, out of 100, one can hardly find a single camel suitable to ride." Volume 8, Book 76, number 506. Narrated by Jundub. The Prophet said, "He who lets the people hear of his good deeds intentionally, to win their praise, Allah will let the people know his real intention, on the day of resurrection. And he who does good things in public to show off and win the praise of the people, Allah will disclose his real intention, and humiliate him." Volume 8, Book 76, number 507. Narrated by Mu'adh bin Jabal. While I was riding behind the Prophet as a companion rider and there was nothing between me and him except the back of the saddle, he said, "O Mu'adh." I replied, "Labbaik, O Allah's Apostle, and Sardiak." He proceeded for a while and then said, "O Mu'adh." I said, "Labbaik and Sardaik, O Allah's Apostle." He then proceeded for another while and said, "O Mu'adh bin Jabal." I replied, "Labbaik, O Allah's Apostle, and Sardaik." He said, "Do you know what is Allah's right on his slaves?" I replied, "Allah and his Apostle know better." He said, "Allah's right on his slaves is that they should worship him and not worship anything besides him." He then proceeded for a while, and again said, "O Mu'adh bin Jabal." I replied, "Labbaik, O Allah's Apostle, and Sardaik." He said, "Do you know what is Allah's, slaves, people's, right on Allah if they did that?" I replied, "Allah and his Apostle know better." He said, "The right of Allah's slaves on Allah is that he should not punish them, if they did that." Volume 8, Book 76, number 508. Narrated by Anas. The Prophet had a she-camel called Aloba, and it was too fast to surpass in speed. There came a Bedouin riding a camel of his, and that camel outstripped it, i.e. Al-Akbar. That result was hard on the Muslims who said sorrowfully, "Al-Adbar has been outstripped." Allah's Apostle said, It is due from Allah that nothing would be raised high in this world except that He lowers or puts it down.